Hello there everybody and welcome back to Tree of Tranquility. It is now the 5th day of summer and I have a few things I want to talk about before we end up going to our festival on the 7th. I've gone ahead and I've loaded up my rucksack with a couple of things. One of the goals I want to accomplish today is bringing the required yarns over to Shelly in order to make another rucksack. We should have everything that we need. We need 2 yellow flax yarn, 2 red wool yarn, and 2 green silk yarn. I think I've actually forgotten to grab the flax out of my bag, so I'll have to do that. But as soon as we convert that and dye it, we should be able to get another rucksack upgrade. I've also grabbed some of my other wools and cocoons just to convert those and dye them while I'm there so I can make a little bit of profit. So before I leave the house, I should probably grab the flax because I'm going to need it, obviously. I'll grab the regular quality good flax. I've still kept my perfect flax around from springtime. I'm not sure that I'll need it, but if I don't, I'll have to go on another dyeing spree and take care of those at a later date. One thing at a time. I'll go ahead and do our usual routine and start where we always start, with watering all of our crops. As of yet, nothing has come in for me to harvest. I would say that most things take, at the minimum, a week to come in. It depends on what it is. Things like onions, potatoes, and turnips, those all come in relatively quickly, but if you're looking at things like melons and corn and tomatoes and things like that I have planted, those are going to take a little bit longer. So I've just kind of been patiently waiting. Obviously, I spent a lot of money trying to get everything all set up, buying all the seeds from Ruth and Taylor, but hopefully by the time the season ends, that will have paid off for me and I'll be able to get a lot of money. It also looks like Flappy, our newest chicken, has grown up, and that must have happened overnight because I do not recall Flappy being a fully grown hen yesterday when I went to bed. And might I say, it grew up super quickly. I don't even know how long that took. Maybe a week, if that, to go from a chick to a chicken, which is more than I can say about the sheep or the cow. They took forever to grow up. So I'll go ahead and gather the stuff I can from these animals, and then I'll go check on the silkworms. I'll have another thing from my sheep here to turn into yarn. It doesn't look like I have a third chicken egg yet, but like I said, I'm pretty sure that happened overnight. The hen has just grown up but hasn't had a chance to lay eggs yet, but we should start seeing one more chicken egg a day. Probably starting tomorrow, I would imagine. And my bag is completely full, so why don't I go ahead and... Oh, actually my bag isn't full, I have 2 spaces. Okay, what am I talking about? I'm crazy. I was gonna say I'm not gonna be able to make my eggs into mayonnaise, but I can. So I'll go ahead and ship that, and then we'll move into the barn. Probably gonna have to spend a little while making everything into yarn just because the machine takes a while. I guess while I'm here I can also make my milk into something a bit more profitable. We'll make it into cheese, and I'll go ahead and ship that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one thing at a time and then I'm gonna dye it and then move on to the next thing. Because knowing me, I would dye the wrong thing the wrong color, which I do not want to do. So this is the flax yarn, and it needs to be yellow. I'm gonna go ahead and just dye all 3 pieces. I only need 2 for the rucksack upgrade, but I had a stack of 3, and I highly doubt that our very last rucksack upgrade is going to require good quality ingredients. My guess is that it's going to either require perfect or shining. So Shelly's only going to take what she needs, so if I create 3 yellow flax, I'm still going to be left with 1 at the end of the day to ship and sell. So there's that. And I'm gonna go ahead and use the good wool. Shelly did not specify a certain quality, she only specified color, so I'd rather take the perfect yarn and sell that and give her the good yarn to use for the rucksack, just because I'll get a little bit more profit that way. So the wool yarn is going to require us to use red herbs. I'm really glad I had all these herbs saved up. They certainly come in handy in instances like this. And then finally, we need to use our cocoons to make silk yarn. And for some reason, I don't have cocoons. Did I not put them in my bag? I guess I didn't. I know I have good cocoons in my house, so I guess I have to go back and find those. But I guess while I'm here, I can use the silk yarn. That's perfect quality, and I can dye and ship those. And I'll do the same with my perfect quality wool yarn. So sorry this is taking so long. I guess I probably should have done this off screen or something like that, but I figured you guys might want to see this process. I'm probably just going to dye these with red because red is the highest selling profitable herb that I have out of the ones I have in my bag at the moment. Green is worth the least, and then I think it's yellow, red, purple, and then blue is obviously the highest selling. So I'm going to sort this out and just make sure that I'm only giving her the highest quality stuff. So I'll go ahead and I will sell this. I've got 4 bundles of wool yarn, so I'll give her 2 that she requires. I've got 2 of the yellow flax, so I just need to go into my bag or my toolbox and put the cocoons in my bag. Absolutely have no idea how I didn't grab those out of my bag. You can see that I have them here. I'm not crazy, I have them. I guess I just forgot. This will also be a good chance for me just to put those things in the toolbox since I don't need them anymore on this day. I've got a lot of space, I could keep them, but I'm just going to put them away just to make space. And I need to be able to dye that green. So what I'll probably do is I'll just put the red and the yellow away for now. It's really, really shocking to me how much of our day this has eaten up. Just by having to stand here and wait for the machine to make these things and whatnot, it's taken us a long time to do this. But then again, I guess most people probably don't do this in bulk. As soon as you get something from a cocoon or a sheep, or if you grow some flax, you're probably going to do this right away. You're not going to wait and do it all in bulk and, spend your whole day doing it. So there we go, that's it. No more dying, I promise. So before we mosey on over to Shelly's, I want to show you all one more little thing that I've done in the time since I last recorded. I had talked about buying the mountain plot and making it into a secondary field, and that is exactly what I've done. You can see here that I've maybe gone a little overboard. I went a little bit crazy, and I actually went ahead and I planted all flowers and all herbs over here. The idea was that I had purchased so many things from Ruth and so many things from Taylor that I really didn't think I'd have enough time to plant everything in the season if I was just using that little plot of land by my house. And as much as I like to grow crops, I also want to grow flowers. And so I thought that this would be a great place to have a nice, lovely field of flowers, and over by my house is where I can keep my crops. Now I'm not even going to be able to tell you guys what I grew because I planted so many different things. What I know for sure is that I have the blue herb seeds over here. The rest of what I didn't plant back at home, I have a row of sunflowers going on. I do believe I planted some begonias, and I also planted some pink cat flower seeds, among other things. I'm sure there's some other things in here that I've forgotten as well, but I do think it looks rather nice, and I think it's going to look even nicer when it all comes in. It's going to be hard to pick all the flowers because it's probably going to look so lovely. I'm not going to want to touch it. So hopefully by the next time I record, some of those things will have come in and we can see how that field is going to look. Suppose I should say hi to Taylor since he's here, since he's one of the only people I ever see around my house besides me. So now is the time we'll take all that stuff to Shelly and we'll get another bag made. And I guess I should give a gift to Chase since he's right in front of my face. Since he's a little bit behind, you can see that he loves the marmalade. So I've been putting that to good use. And I should be able to make more marmalade with the oranges I'm going to be getting from my tree. Alrighty. So Shelly, please, even though we were just here, please make us another rucksack. I have everything I need. I'm fully convinced that she doesn't make these rucksacks. She just has some sitting in the back that she's made, and she just grabs it off the shelves and hands it to us. And she really wants that yarn for her own, like, making of other stuff that isn't our rucksack. But that's just my conspiracy theory. We have one more rucksack upgrade to go, so why don't we ask Shelly what we need for the last upgrade so we can keep it in mind. We need one shining flax yarn, which I have, one shining silk yarn, and one shining wool yarn. So basically she wants the cream of the crop. She wants the best stuff that we have available for our last upgrade. I can understand why, and it makes sense, but that might take a little while for us to get. Up to this point, I don't think I've ever gotten a shining piece of wool or a shining cocoon, so that's going to be a bit tricky. I'm going to take a quick detour up to the Garmin mine, and I just want to talk about one little other thing that I had discovered in my quest to unfriend Calvin. Ooh, and I have some oranges, look at that. Well, isn't that nice? I can take those back to my house and store those and use those, and hopefully I'll get more oranges throughout the course of the season as well. He's usually at the mine until pretty late, so I'll check the forest to see if there's anything for me to pick up, and then I will head on over there. I've brought a bunch of failed soups to gift to him today. I'll say hi to Luke while he's here. Pretty sure I put my gifts for him in my fridge to save some room, so sorry Luke, I can't give you a gift today, although I'd love to. One day, probably tomorrow, I'll come back and give him his gift. So Calvin should still be here. So I'm going to walk up to him with the soup in my hand. So when you present a gift to a villager, you'll see that they say hello to you and they'll have the little musical notes above their head, and then they'll react to your gift. In this case, we get a bad reaction because this is a gift that he hates. So what I found out, and I did a little research on this because I was completely baffled. I had been giving Calvin all these horrible gifts that he just hated for weeks and weeks on end. And what I discovered is that you get a bigger increase from actually talking to the character than you do by giving him a gift that he hates. So basically, you're getting, let's say, 5 points for saying hello to him and presenting him the gift, but it's only taking away 3 points for a gift, despite the fact that it's a hated gift that is one of the worst gifts that you can possibly give him. So if you're just handing off one bad gift a day, it's basically completely impossible to make their hearts fall. I discovered though that unlike gifts that they like and that you can get increased affection with, you can give them multiple gifts that they hate per day. And so this is the trick. What you're gonna want to try and give them multiple stacks of gifts in a day that they don't like in order to drive their hearts down, because Calvin actually got up to 6 hearts and I was able to get his confession, and I was completely baffled. Like I said, I just could not figure out why, you know, his hearts were going up and not down when I was giving him all these horrible gifts. And that is what happened. You can see there that it's actually gone down to 4, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted, and I don't have to worry about giving him failed dishes anymore. As long as I don't talk to him and I don't give him things that he likes, it should be fine. He should be in a spot now where I can go back into the mine and I don't have to run into the glitch that takes place with him at 5 hearts. So that will mean that I can get Owen's hearts back up and running, and I can also finish Owen's request as well. So I thought I would share that little trick with you guys. Just because I had absolutely no idea what was wrong, I was completely dumbfounded, but as soon as I discovered that little bit of information, it all made sense. And now he's at a heart level, I don't have to worry about him anymore. Because another thing I discovered too by reading up how relationships work in this game is avoiding characters don't work. If I were to just not give Calvin gifts and ignore him, it wouldn't make a difference. They will just stay at the same heart level you've worked them up to until you give them a gift that they hate or a gift that they like. So using that little trick of giving them gifts that they hate, you can avoid things like rival marriages. If you've accidentally befriended a rival marriage candidate, and you've seen one of their heart events and you're freaking out and you don't want them to actually get married, then that's a really good trick to use. Or you can use it in the opposite way, where you've befriended a bachelor or a bachelorette too high and you're not able to actually see the rival heart events, and you can do that as well. And you can see here that 25 spaces is a lot. Even if I were to carry all of my tools in my bag, I would still have a ton of room for stuff. So that's great. I'm really excited about that. So that's it for me. I've rambled on for what feels like forever. I didn't feel like I really covered all that much content, but I did have a lot to say. And I had a lot kind of going on, so I think I've covered it all now. I'm just reorganizing my refrigerator. I like my herbs to be at the top of my fridge, so I'm just being kind of picky about this. I'm gonna put my oranges in my fridge too. So my fridge is pretty much full up. I gotta start doing some cooking here. And I'll take some tools that I'm gonna need tomorrow. I'll take out my milker. I gotta clean up the weeds. I'll take out my sickle. But slowly but surely I'm making more and more space in the toolbox. I'm clearing it out, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more organized sooner than later. You can see here that I do have that shining flax yarn, so we do have 1 out of the 3 ingredients needed for the rucksack upgrade already, which is great. So I'm gonna play tomorrow off screen, and then I will see you guys on the 7th for our next festival, which is going to be the Ocean Festival. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope that I will see you next time.